The Collective Uprising: How Black Women Are Rewriting the Rules of Success. Good morning, everyone. I stand before you today with a heart full of gratitude and a mind transformed by the wisdom of one of the most visionary leaders of our time. TaShawn Williams is not just a researcher or advocate. She is a revolutionary force who has fundamentally challenged how we understand success in America. Through her groundbreaking work documenting the entrepreneurial journeys of Black women across the nation, TaShawn has uncovered patterns that don't just inspire, they demolish outdated paradigms and rebuild our understanding of what true progress looks like in the 21st century. When I first encountered TaShawn's research, I expected to find stories of exceptional individuals overcoming tremendous odds. What I discovered instead was something far more powerful: a complete reimagining of success itself. For generations, we've been fed a particular narrative about achievement in America. We've glorified the lone genius, the self made billionaire, the rugged individualist who rises against all odds. This story is so deeply embedded in our cultural DNA that we rarely question it. The solitary hero climbing the mountain alone has become our default template for success. But what if this story isn't just incomplete? What if it's fundamentally misleading? What if the most powerful model for sustainable success isn't about individual achievement at all, but about collective advancement? This is the revolutionary insight that emerged from my conversations with TaShawn Williams. Through her meticulous documentation of entrepreneurial ecosystems across America, she's revealed a profound shift happening right before our eyes, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about how success works. Here's a surprising truth: Black women are now the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. But their success isn't primarily about individual hustle or personal resilience, though there's certainly plenty of both. Instead, what's driving this remarkable growth is something far more powerful and counterintuitive: the deliberate creation of supportive ecosystems that foster collective advancement. Let that sink in for a moment. While conventional wisdom tells us that entrepreneurial success is about outcompeting others, the data tells a different story. Black women owned businesses are thriving not by embracing cutthroat competition, but by creating networks and infrastructure that help everyone rise together. This isn't just a feel good story, it's backed by hard numbers. At the Women's Business Enterprise National Council Conference in New Orleans in 2025, a city itself symbolic of reinvention and resilience, Black women owned businesses were celebrated for increasing their average revenues by an astonishing 32.7% between 2019 and 2023. During this same period, they outpaced men's firms in employment growth by 252.8%. These aren't just impressive statistics, they represent a fundamental reimagining of how success works. Consider the context. These achievements occurred despite persistent underfunding. Black women entrepreneurs receive approval for only 45% of requested loans compared to men's 55%, with consistently higher denial rates. They receive a disproportionately small share of venture capital funding. By conventional logic, these barriers should be insurmountable. Yet something remarkable is happening. Instead of accepting these limitations, Black women entrepreneurs have responded by forming business collectives focused on mentorship, shared resources, and advocacy for equitable funding policies. They've created alternative pathways to capital through community programs and crowdfunding platforms. They've built support systems that circumvent traditional gatekeepers. The result? Accelerated revenue growth that outpaces other demographics and the creation of new support infrastructure that benefits entire communities. This shift from individualism to community centered growth isn't just changing outcomes for individual entrepreneurs, it's challenging our fundamental assumptions about how success works. Think about it. We've been told that success is a zero sum game, that for someone to win, someone else must lose. We've been told that the path to achievement is paved with competition, not collaboration. We've been told that the strongest entrepreneurs are those who can stand alone. But what if we've been wrong all along? What if the most resilient, sustainable form of success comes not from standing alone, but from standing together? The data from TaShawn Williams' research suggests exactly that. And it's not just about Black women entrepreneurs, though they're leading this revolution. It's about a fundamentally different model of success that has implications for all of us. Let me share another revealing story from our conversation. Analysis from the National Bureau of Economic Research highlights the disparities facing Black founders throughout every stage of entrepreneurship, from launching startups to securing venture capital funding. The numbers are sobering. Blacks started new businesses at a rate 22% lower than whites. Less than 30% of angel investors were women, and only about 4% of general partners at venture capital firms were Black. These structural barriers are real and significant. But here's where the story gets interesting. Targeted accelerators focus on minority founders have begun providing tailored support, including pitch training and network introductions to close these early stage gaps. The results? Female founded venture backed startups achieved a higher exit rate, 19.4%, compared to their representation among funded firms. We're seeing a slow but meaningful narrowing of race and gender gaps. What's particularly noteworthy is how these successes were achieved. Many participants came from non traditional backgrounds, without generational wealth or established investor contacts. They didn't succeed by somehow becoming more like the traditional entrepreneur archetype. Instead, they created alternative pathways through community programs and collective support systems. This pattern repeats across sectors. According to Success Magazine's review of Global Entrepreneurship Monitor data from 2023, digital tools have enabled unprecedented scale up opportunities, especially among female led ventures across tech, wellness, and education sectors. Despite limited initial access to traditional markets and funding streams due to bias, these entrepreneurs leverage social media and e commerce platforms not just for sales, but for brand building, increasing visibility, and leading directly to partnership and investment offers that would have been inaccessible through legacy channels. The outcomes speak for themselves. Startups led by diverse teams reported better ROI than male dominated ones. Greater gender diversity correlated with more creative solutions and products entering mainstream markets. Many of these businesses began as micro enterprises during pandemic disruptions when remote work became normalized. They rapidly scaled thanks largely to online communities and support systems rather than institutional gatekeepers. The result has been a near double digit annual increase in startup activity since the early pandemic years, a historic acceleration fueled primarily by digital first, community centered approaches. This revolution in entrepreneurship challenges three deeply held assumptions about success. First, it challenges the myth of the lone genius. The data shows that the most successful entrepreneurs aren't those who go it alone. They're those who build and participate in supportive communities. Success isn't about isolation, it's about connection. Second, it challenges our understanding of resilience. True resilience isn't just about individual grit or determination, it's about creating systems that distribute both risk and opportunity across communities. The most resilient entrepreneurs aren't just personally tough, they're embedded in networks that can absorb shocks and create opportunities collectively. Third, it challenges our definition of leadership. The most effective leaders aren't just focused on their own achievement, they're focused on creating conditions where others can thrive. They understand that their success is inextricably linked to the success of their communities. This shift from individual achievement to collective advancement isn't just more equitable, it's more effective. It produces better outcomes, not just for individuals, but for entire communities and economies. So, what does this mean for you? It means we need to fundamentally rethink how we define and pursue success. Instead of asking, how can I get ahead? We should be asking, how can we move forward together? Instead of measuring achievements solely by individual metrics, we should be looking at how our success contributes to the advancement of our communities. This isn't just about being nice or doing good, it's about being effective. The data shows that collective approaches to entrepreneurship produce better outcomes than individualistic ones. They're more resilient, more innovative, and ultimately more successful. As TaShawn Williams emphasized in our conversation, the entrepreneurial journey for Black professionals is complex. Success hinges as much on access to networks, capital, and mentorship as it does on grit or vision. Systemic barriers remain significant, but by building supportive ecosystems and leveraging digital tools, Black entrepreneurs, particularly Black women, are redefining what sustainable business growth looks like for future generations. I want you to leave here today with more than just inspiration. I want you to leave with a challenge to examine the ways in which you've internalized the myth of the lone hero, a challenge to consider how your pursuit of success might be transformed by embracing collective advancement. Ask yourself, what would change if I measured my success not just by what I achieve, but by how many others I lift as I climb? What would be possible if I invested as much in building supportive networks as I do in developing my individual skills? How might my impact multiply if I shifted from competition to collaboration? The revolution in entrepreneurship, led by Black women, isn't just changing business. It's offering us all a powerful alternative to the isolating, exhausting pursuit of individual achievement. It's showing us that we can succeed not despite helping others, but because of it. This isn't just a nice theory, it's being proven in the marketplace every day. And it's not just changing the lives of entrepreneurs, it's changing how we understand success itself. So I challenge you, join this revolution. Reject the myth of the lone hero. Embrace the power of collective advancement because the future doesn't belong to those who stand alone. It belongs to those who stand together. Thank you